streaming. Okay, hey folks, this is episode 375 of the UtiniCast being recorded on the 19th of November, 2019. And Doc just wants a couple minutes here to get some show notes updated properly, and then we will get going. And I'm going to go over to the Twitch channel. Yep, stream looks good. And all right, so we'll get going as soon as we can. I'll go ahead and tweet out that we're live on the stream. Okay. Excellent. Okay. And I'll retweet it as well. Sweet.
I think that's it for what I'm going to put in the notes.
Okay. Well, if you're ready, we can get going then.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Actually, let me do one thing.
When you lead into the show, I'm going to say something about how we have commas in our numbers now.
Okay, that's cool.
It's probably going to be weird. I didn't want to catch you off guard.
All right. Make sure that's the right spelling. Okay, yeah, I just had to do the random number generator for the tip of the week because we had multiples available. Yay! Always nice. Yeah. And Dekion sent in one as well, and I put one as well. So we got plenty of tips as well, so that's going to be good.
I think when we get to that part, I'm just going to talk about gearing again.
That's cool.
Because it seems that there are...
Well, that'll be the tip of the week, or your mind trap as well, so we can talk about it at that point.
So, yeah.
Just right around the same time. It'll make a good transition. You could say, I have some tips about gearing up, but that's also the Jedi mind trap. So if you want to. All right, Duck and Medulla are here. Hey, yeah, I know. Isn't Doc's background awesome? From the second Iocath chapter and Kotet. So yeah, if you're ready, I'll get us going.
Sure.
All right. Starting in 5. Actually, let me also adjust this. Okay. All right, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the UtiniCast. The unfortunate side effect is that one tends to lose one's mind. This is episode 375, being recorded on Tuesday, November 19th, 2019. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Chill, did you know we put commas in our numbers now?
I know, isn't that wild? Like, it's like the numbers look bigger now.
You can actually tell when an enemy has 50 million or 5 million health now.
Yeah, that's useful. That is good information to have. Especially,
Yeah,
that sounds like an operation number to me, though. I haven't been doing too many of those yet.
it's a
Not in
big
Onslaught.
difference.
Yeah.
One takes the group like 30 seconds to kill, and then the other one takes them 15 minutes.
Right. What have you been doing in game?
I've been doing really well. I've gotten past the point where I'm worrying about one character. And so now I'm trying to, well, I am still worrying about that one character because I need better augments. So
Nice.
I have the gear mostly where I want it to be, and I have my amplifiers where everything is purple force sensitivity or 0.80 or higher. So every amplifier except for the gold one has a level it could improve, but I think I spent about 30 million credits on amplifiers. So some of them I got them where it was getting to 200,000 to re-roll. So then at that point you just have to find a new
one with the
armor.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
just to show love to the chat, I'm being questioned about one character. And yes, so everything I do is about that one character, even if I'm playing a different character, because Lightning Sork is what I raid with. And we're working on veteran mode Duxin on Thursdays. So the goal there is to not be the weakest link and the reason we're losing fights, and to kill things as fast as possible.
Right.
And I'm not really interested in Madness right now because of all of the resources it's taking to get Lightning where it needs to be.
Sure.
So I'm working on augments too, and so I've been crafting on my Assassin, my Juggernaut, and my
Oh man. Do you have any credits left?
and my I guess my Power Tech. No, I have a lot of credits. Chill.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
don't.
my mind trap from last episode was for other people. I'm doing just fine.
That's good.
It's really hard to enjoy crafting right now, and maybe we'll talk about that later because I want to hear about how your week is going. It's just trying to get into the 700 range and then trying to actually successfully get an augment to deliver the purple schematic is not overly enjoyable.
Okay.
So
how do you even get augment recipes? Do you have to disintegrate other ones?
You get the bonded attachments, and you only craft those until you're at 690, and 700 is the cap. So
Right.
you just have to craft the attachments over and over. And certain classes have multiple kinds of attachments now for the level 11 materials.
Yeah.
So on my Synth Weaver, there's two green bonded attachments. One, you use only the power crystals and that kind of stuff, and then the other one you use things you get from Underworld trading, but also from slicing. So that is why I had to bring in my Juggernaut, because my Juggernaut is one of my slicers. So she has to get to 700 slicing, which isn't that bad. Onderon is a great place to level up slicing.
Yeah.
So but I'm playing multiple characters for the first episode in a long time. So
cool. But where do the augment recipes come from? Are you just getting the one off the vendor and then just does it keep upgrading for you, or how is that working for augments nowadays?
That's a good question. So there is a blue bonded attachment and a purple one, and that just escalates with what you use them for to actually craft. I'm pretty sure for the schematics or actual things to craft, you would buy those from the vendor.
Okay.
But
And then
the
just
ones that I want, they don't unlock until 690.
oh,
So
so that's why you're trying to get them there.
yeah, and then you have to reverse engineer those because they're blue items, and you gotta hope that you earn the right to craft the purple ones.
Right.
And I'm just
That's
looking
how I'm
at
doing
it
with
like
biochem. Yeah.
I could spend 250 million credits on the GTN and just have my augments, but but then but then I'm completely reliant on the people who have already succeeded at this thing that I feel I should be able to succeed at. So
Yep.
it's I know I'm probably throwing a curveball for people that Dr. SWTOR is talking about crafting today, but that's where we're at, Chill. Because
Yeah.
okay, so I want to bounce to you, but we need to come back because I have
Yeah.
to explain why it became so important for me to get these augments because I'm sure it'll cause some people to smile and just like shake their head at me. But I want to check in with who's in the chat and hear about you.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. Pull up the list here. Oh, list isn't updated. I'll have to do the list of chatters later. Although I do see Swotorista and Duck Sauce and Eric and Medulla in there. So hey everyone. And I'll check if the list updates properly later. So yeah, for me as far as crafting goes, I'm doing biochem on my main and my alt, just so I can get the the reusables for the two mains that I'm going to be doing for this particular expansion. So I haven't done any. I've only stuck with these two characters. Like as much of an alcoholic as I normally am, I haven't done any other characters at all. So I guess I've been on my banking alt, and technically I've sent out a few crew missions there, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I haven't done any real crafting yet outside of biochem. Biochem, so you get the recipes, and it starts with the greens, and you got to get the blues, and you got to get the purples. So I haven't done any adrenals yet, and I really haven't done any implants. So just the implants I've been getting through regular gearing as well, because it's too expensive to get those up as well. It's just a little nuts right now. Swotorista even mentioned that too, and it's true. It's like. And we'll talk about it later because there is some stuff in the news about they're gonna in the next big patch they're gonna be reducing the costs of crafting, so that's affecting things right now. Even right now because like the prices on the GTN like changed immediately after that post and stuff like that. So as far as the actual characters go, I've just been gearing. My main and my mirror are both in the 302, 304 level. I just got my first piece of 306 yesterday, which is cool. And then once I have 306, I'll focus on getting tech points so I can get the tech pieces that I want, the set pieces rather that I want off of the vendor. Death Knell is basically the one that I want for the 6-piece set. The tacticals I'm just going to have to get. I'm not sure. I'll have to take another look at them and see where they usually come from, and then I'll decide if I want to go that way or if I want to just get lucky some other way or whatever. So I've been just doing Ondron dailies, Mechshaw dailies, and then after I've gotten those done, I usually just do lots of Red Reaper runs, which was what Dekion's suggestion was last week. Both of my characters are stealthers, so if you do Red Reaper, you can just stealth through everything. Especially once you've done it a few times, you know how to avoid the fights. A perfect run will basically be the 3 bosses, and then there's one like group next to the second boss that automatically aggroes if you don't kill them. So I usually get them first, or you can kill the boss, let them aggro on you, click the bridge, and then vanish if you want. But I usually just take them out before I do the boss. It doesn't take that long. That's 180 tech fragments plus all the drops from all 3 bosses plus about I think it's like 150,000 points. So you get about you usually get about a box every time you do a run.
Okay.
So one renowned box. So overall, that's pretty good for and it's pretty fast. If you're a stealther, you're avoiding all those other fights. You're just doing the bosses. It's like 20 minutes or so, and that's a pretty good amount of stuff for 20 minutes. Nothing else that I've
definitely
done has really come close. I tried War Zones one day, and it's like, oh, okay, the War Zones don't really drop anything except renown points until you do the daily. The daily does give you a nice crate that you can open, and that's great, but I don't know.
How many matches is that? Is it 4?
It's 2 to 4, depending. If you lose the first 3 and then you have to win or lose the last one, that it can be up to 4. But if you get 2 wins in a row, you're done pretty fast, especially if they're arenas. Arenas are really quick. Yeah. So it's potentially decent, a decent way to go. I mean, I definitely think PvPers should be in a reasonably good spot from what I saw, but just the fact that I can just solo these Red Reapers and not worry about it, it's like it's going really fast, and I know the bosses really well. The first boss is a laugh. You won't have any problems as long as you have like a companion who, whatever your highest level healing companion will be fine. He has a red circle that kind of does some damage, and then you have to interrupt him when he's trying to
choke,
kill,
right?
Yeah, the choke thing where he's trying to kill the people who are like tied up there. The second one is the Droid Boss. He basically, it's the red and blue on veteran doesn't really do enough damage, and because it's a 6-second cast, your healer companion will always have you at full health by the time it goes off, and it's only like 10 or maybe 20% of your health or so. He has a knockback, and that's it. He's just a big tank and spank, really. The third boss has a couple of things that you gotta actually do properly, but that actually just makes it fun. So basically, he does things 4 times. He's the same thing twice at 80%, 60%, 40%, and 20%. So at 80 and 40, he does a little knockback, calls a couple of buddies, starts shooting some lightning. His buddies are immune because they're in a bubble. What you do is you shield yourself behind the buddy so the lightning is hitting the buddy and not you or your companion. You have to put your companion on, if you're soloing it like I am, you put your companion on passive because your companion needs to be next to you so that if the lightning happens to be hitting them, they're not getting hit. And you just, and once the lightning is hitting the bubbled buddy of the boss, you interrupt them. That stops their bubble. And then they get hit by the lightning, and then they get knocked out. And there's 2 of them. You do it twice, you're good. Take your companion back off passive, start fighting again. Then at the next one, 60%, and then again at 20%, he just calls a bunch of ancient knowledge circles, and you just go around and collect them all. Basically, if you collect 4, you can just go back and fight him if you want, because you can't get more than 4 stacks of the little buff that it gives you. But it gives you some renown points, and plus, after you do 4, you're pretty much halfway around the circle anyway, so I just keep running around, and I just grab the other ones too, and then just keep fighting them. That one's really not a big deal. But the other one, the first one, the one at 80% and 40%, you got to be a little careful with because of the knockback. Make sure your companion's not, face, in a line between him and then the big chasm that's in the middle of the room, because you or your companion can get knocked into the chasm and die. That's no good. After the knockback, it's just a question of taking care of the lightning and interrupting them at the proper time. It's really not hard at all, though. Once you've done it once, you'll know exactly how to do it. Yeah. Is
it possible to solo master mode on that one?
Someone in my chat was saying that it's really more of a group thing, but yeah, and it's really hard even on group, and I could understand that, but I don't know. I could try it at some point just to see how hard it is. I somehow I don't think it would be easily soloable, and I don't know if there's any enrage, if there's any enrages or anything.
I don't think flashpoints do enrages.
Not usually, yeah.
The way ops
it would be nasty though, because I mean, even they're not hard bosses on veteran, but they do take a while. And if they took a lot longer, and then they were hitting harder, I could see them being a real problem. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing.
The chat wants me to take a naked tune into Master Mode Red Reaper and try to clear it. So. Yeah, at least I'm assuming they meant the tune is naked as opposed to me, the player.
Me naked streaming.
That's a thing I haven't
That's a Twitch no, yeah.
dipping my foot into the pool of. That sounds interesting. I mean, I think definitely you're in a better spot with flashpoints right now than PvP. Probably, I would agree with that. That's what I'm hearing.
At least on stealthers, you could probably get away with it on. If you had a little patience, you could probably do it on like a marauder, because they have that vanish ability that's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of vanish instead of you just run through. Make sure wait till your cooldown's back. Run through, then vanish. And then keep going. It'd be harder though for sure. It would take a little bit longer, but I think you could do it on that kind of class as well. But
So
if fighting through it would not be worth soloing.
Yeah.
Fighting through everything in the whole flashpoint would slow it down too much. It would not be worth it.
I want to ask you what you think about the Corellia flashpoint that comes with that's the end
The
of
story?
Onslaught.
Yeah.
Because I did the story on my assassin and I noticed that it was just 3 boss fights. There's nothing in the solo version that stops you from stealthing.
True. Yeah.
So you just have to clear the bosses. So I'm also wondering if that's a candidate for this.
It probably would be. Yeah. I've
veteran
only done it.
flashpoint.
Yeah, I've only done it when I've leveled. Well, I ended up doing a third character as well because I wanted to send my mirror main wasn't at level 75, and I wanted to send him a 268 set of gear. Yeah, but so I've seen it 3 times, and but I haven't done it like by running into it. You know what I mean? Just as not as part of the story. But from what I remember of those 3 fights, and the stuff in the middle, I could see that being another candidate. Yeah.
Yeah, because the first boss, it's just that droid, and you have to kill the lightning columns near the middle point of the fight. And there's some ads to clear out of the room, but they're not a big deal.
Right.
And then the second fight, when you're on the Empire side, it's probably the same fight on the Republic side, but it's just 2 Jedi or a Jedi and something else. Very similar to the kinds of bosses that are throughout Boarding Party, where it's really about there's a main one and then there's a healer one, and you just have to understand that your enemies have roles too. And then the final fight is Tau and her minions that cause the weird shield energy to happen, or they seem to have battle meditation kinds of mechanics where if they cluster, they channel the force in a way that just inconveniences you for a few seconds.
Right. Yeah.
So
and then it's
I think
Malgus
that would
on the
be a
other
good.
side.
Yeah, I beat him with the one Republic tune that I took through, but I don't remember what he's like. You just kind of win the story version. So anyway, I was for those
that
of
might
you
be
who,
that might be a candidate too, especially if you get bored of Red Reaper, because I tell you, I've done it a lot of runs now.
Right. So a lot of people are probably at the point where they've done Red Reaper 1,000 times. So it's,
maybe Corellia would be worth a check out there.
Yeah, because nobody's run that one 1,000 times.
No. Yeah. Earlier, after the last show, I was still trying the daily thing, like doing CZ 198 and Black Hole and all those. But even when you finish a weekly mission, it only gives you renown points. So I gave up on that because the renown boxes, there's just not enough gear out of them. There's a pretty reasonable good chance that it's actually an upgrade. Like the gear that actually comes from them can be good, but it's one piece of gear, and then sometimes like an augment or an armoring or whatever, and that's it. And it's just not enough. It's way too slow. So I would say if I wasn't a stealther, I'd probably be doing like uprisings, maybe flashpoints, joining in on story mode operations that I felt I could do, and war zones for sure.
Yeah, I think if I had the opportunity to encourage BioWare to do anything different besides their patch to fix crafting a little bit and make it so you don't have to be a billionaire to participate, I would say to make the renown crates have a couple things in it, kind of like when they finally hit that sweet spot with Galactic Command. And especially if your item rating is 306 and you get 302 and 304 things, you really do feel like you kind of wasted part of your last hour of life.
It's true.
The Flashpoint box gives you like 5 things. So the chances that something is 306 is much higher.
Yep.
And since you're getting all this stuff from all these other directions, it really just makes the renown crate feel like a waste.
Yeah, it
So
can. It can. It definitely can. Like I say, I did a lot of dailies in the last expansion, and I've just given up on them for now. It's just there's just not enough value there. They're quick to do, but you're gonna get like if CZ is the shorter one, it's like 1.5 crates, and you get a little over 2 crates for some of the bigger ones, and that's it. You're not gonna. There's really nothing else. Even if you're like 268 and you're still starting out, you'll get a few drops along the way too that might be upgrades, but really, it's still not. It's just not worth it. So yeah. I did notice there was like a tweet in the conversation where it's like someone was noticing like they were in a pug operation and they were getting gear that was like significantly below what their gear rating was, and that has to do with like the fact that like the whole group's gear rating goes towards determining what's dropping, and apparently it's pretty much based on like whoever has the lowest gear, which is unfortunate because it means like if you're lower gear than everyone else, you're kind of dragging down the whole group as far as like what they might get from that operation.
but from that person's perspective, everyone else that above them is dragging them up. Because the first week of the expansion, I was in like 283 gear, but in my raid team, someone was already 306 on the second day of the expansion.
Dang.
And so I got a 306 set bonus glove that was the set bonus I was going for.
Nice.
So I had 306 gloves when I was still working on trying to get 284 gear. So it works both ways, and I know it's really frustrating for people who are on the high end. But you're doing a really nice thing for someone else.
I suppose so. I mean, there are times when that's good, but in terms of like just pugging, it's going to make it almost impossible because the pug groups just they'll have to bump anyone who's not at 306. I mean, that's just how it's going to have to be because like otherwise, why would everyone come together to do this big run that's going to take probably a couple hours of their time? If the drops are guaranteed not to be good enough for them. So,
well, the other thing too is unless you're doing master mode flashpoints or veteran mode or nightmare ops, you're going to do just fine no matter what the item rating of your group is, because of the way bolster and level sync have seemed to be tuned. So, I mean, the reward is people get really excited when gear with high numbers drops. But in terms of a pug being capable of winning, that doesn't seem to have an impact. But I have seen on the fleet, people have been saying, we need a DPS minimum item rating of 306.
Yeah.
Please.
Yep.
And so you're alienating people who play less than you or don't understand the gearing. So we mentioned that last episode. It's an unintended consequence of how the gearing system was created.
Exactly. And I am hoping that, since I am at 302, 304, that I'll be 306 within the next, couple of days. And that way, if the Utini, one of the Utini guilds, has a run, I'll be able to join it and then, be able to sort of contribute not only with DPS, but also by having the proper gear rating that I can actually help with getting the right drops for everyone. So, I'm looking forward to trying the set bonuses too. I have one tactical that I like, I think it's one that Dekian mentioned actually. It's the one where if you use your AoE one, then it's the force potency, or not the force potency, but it's like the force ability becomes AoE. So it's like you do AoE and then you wait until you have it stacked up, and use it when it's stacked up, and then it's an AoE stack up ability. So it does a lot of damage AoE. But it's only usable at most every whatever 11 seconds, because the new ability is only available every 11 seconds. But it's nice because my spec and is particularly like not AoE focused, so it's kind of cool to have a tactical, like if I'm just going in to do something that I know has tons of mobs, I toss that on and then I'll be just a lot more efficient. It's not necessarily going to be a great one for other things though. In fact, I've taken it out when I'm doing Red Reaper runs, because if I'm doing my Red Reaper run properly, I'm basically just doing those 3 bosses. There's just that one other little group, and that doesn't matter, and they're kind of spread out too. So
right.
the AoE doesn't matter. So I just put on, unfortunately I don't have any other really good tacticals for her, so I just put on the old Krulls whatever that just gives you random stats, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're ready for the tip of the week. So we've got a couple of tips from folks. Dekion sent in one. I've got one. So we've got a lot of tips this week. First one from Nezer. Here's the tip of the week for you. If you want the premium green items from running missions, do not run the rich yield. Yeah, run bountiful or abundant. Rich yield will only result in blue and purple yields. And this is true, and it is currently unfortunate. It does look like, and we're going to talk about this later, they are changing crafting. It does seem like they're going to be tweaking that, and hopefully the rich ones will then be viable again, because it feels really weird to have, maxed out bioanalysis and diplomacy and slicing and everything else, and skipping all my rich missions because they don't give any greens, and without the greens I can't make anything. So yeah, so that's for now, that is the correct tip to do. Tip 2 is from Quercus, and Quercus says, if you're bleeding money from gearing, try upping your influence with Hylo, Dr. O, the Voss, Mystic, and the Bothan. Can't recall the names. With the rewards you get from heroics. They give you packs with gear comp, gifts, etc. Gear can be sold for a few thousand credits, and the companion gifts are being almost always needed. You can sell on those for the GTN for up to 150k each. Yeah, the rank 6s are still valuable. This works especially well if you're like me and skipped much of the earlier content with alts, and the Odessan crew command is influence 1. I have hundreds of the crates from years of heroic runs. So yeah, those are still available in the game. If you do the Mech Shah heroics, you're actually getting one of the crates that you give to Hylo Viz, so you'll be getting some of those anyway. And if you happen to like doing the heroics, that's a quick way to get those as well. I don't know if it's the fastest way in the game to get credits right now, but it's a way. So thank you, Quercus. Yeah, I would say like the fastest way would be like figure out what's selling with your crafting and just do that.
The way the GTN's working right now, I actually am beginning to question if it's not cheaper to just buy the token from the victory droid for Conquest and just get your tune to level 50, which I know undermines this entire tip, because it's based on people giving you credits for your companion gifts.
Right.
But the economy is so weird right now that I used my dark projects to get one of those tokens this week, and then I leveled up Chem Vol with gifts. And it actually ended up being more expensive to level him up with gifts than it was to just spend almost 5 million credits in some dark projects.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the price of the dark projects, but yeah.
It depends what the economy looks like. Well, I crafted my dark projects because the way this tip is from Quercus, I apparently have as many invasion forces as he has heroic crates. So crafting the dark projects is just like, well, I guess I have these invasion forces for no reason. So
there you go.
So I guess I'll have 200 dark projects now.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I'll read the next one, Chill, from Dekion.
Absolutely.
This one blew my mind, so I really hope people appreciate this one.
Mm-hmm.
Greetings, OotiniCast. This may not be breaking news, but I just found it and wanted to share. Remember those dark and light side tokens that you've built up and are probably maxed at the weekly cap of 100 because there wasn't anything good to buy?
Yep.
Well, now there's something good. Each of the Galactic Command Light and Dark vendors sell a weekly equipment crate full of random equipment, set pieces, and tech fragments.
Yes.
When
Absolutely.
I read that, I actually emailed him personally and said that blew my mind, because it just seems like a process that was forgotten about.
It absolutely was. Yeah, there's a couple pets, a couple vehicles, and an armor set basically on each of the vendors, and it until now, and then it's like you just forget about them. But yes, if you can build up to 100 light or dark side tokens for each character, and if you've got all 100, you can go and grab one of those crates. It'll drain it down to 0, but you'll have a crate. It's a really nice one. It's roughly equivalent. It felt like when I got mine to like the one you get from the Conquest, from finishing Conquest. It's a really nice crate with multiple items in it. It's good stuff. And the only downside is like I did this like a little over a week ago, I think, when Dekion mentioned it to me, and I went and did that. And then I checked on just last night to see like how many light side tokens I've gotten since then. 13. Yeah, so it's not exactly going to be a weekly box for me. It's going to take way longer than a week to get the 100 back. But hey, anytime there's 100, I'm going to go grab it for sure.
Well, you really get good. A token by leveling your renown when that force alignment is in control of the galaxy.
Right.
So since they've changed it where you get far fewer renown crates than with the galactic system.
Yeah.
You're, 100 levels, but only the levels you earn while the force is in control.
Right.
That's going to be something where if you really want to collect that crate, you're going to have different tunes that you play based on,
I suppose, so.
which side is winning.
Yeah, but hey, it's still a really nice thing to get, and it's certainly possible. Like I'm sure a lot of my alts are going to be at 100, and I'm just gonna log on to them and it's be like boop, hey, there's a bunch of gear, but I'm not going to do that until I've got some 306s to send to them, and that's not going to be for a little while. So I'm
gonna add to the next tip, Chill, because there's something I want to tell you about gearing. But this tip is from me. I can't win the contest, but if you have any piece of your gear that is lower than the other pieces of gear, you need to drop what you're doing, go to the fleet, and there's a vendor sitting at a boardroom table in the supplies section, right in the center of, the little nooks where the gear is, and where the guy that brings in the shipments, I forget his name, he has the log mount.
Kai Zyken,
right? So Kai Zyken's over here in the room. That vendor, you can buy random pieces of gear, armor, mods, enhancements, barrels, and hilts, and it will be an improvement over what you currently have unless you're maxed out. So if you have,
I don't know, I got one that wasn't, and I've been doing it the same way. I only I looked and I saw, okay, I've got like 2 at the 300 level and blah 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 blah, and I went and got it, and it was a downgrade. It's pretty rare. Usually it's an upgrade from that vendor, but I've had it happen the other way.
Was it a statistical downgrade or an item rating downgrade?
Straight item rating downgrade.
Well, you're the most unlucky person.
Yeah,
ever,
I guess. But I must say that it's usually an upgrade. I will definitely say that. I can definitely agree with that for sure, 100%.
But I was rating on Sunday, and there was a person who basically wasted 2 boss drops because he had a mod that was about 7 or 8 item levels lower than everything else. And that mod is telling the coding in the Old Republic to screw you over.
Right.
So
I want to get drops around this mod level because it's the lowest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So everything's at 290, but this is at 282. You're going to get, 281, 282 drops because of that mod, which is 1/40th of the gear that you're wearing, but it's that one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to add to gearing is once you get to 306, just pay attention to the item rating of things that are dropping for you, and just set aside 2 rows in your personal storage that you carry with you, because you need 14 slots And just when you get a 306 helmet, keep one. Just keep one. Don't disintegrate it. Don't turn it into tech fragments. Just keep it. Same thing for the chest and the gloves. By doing the weekly veteran mode flashpoint mission, you'll probably have gotten one of each of a full set of gear that is all 306 by the time you've done 4 out of the 5 flashpoints. And the reason you do that is so that when you play a different tune, you don't have to ever deal with 270, 280, 290.
Nope.
It's not a lot of work to have extra sets of gear. If you're playing a Juggernaut, Power Tech, or Assassin, you can, just for this week, set your gear to the other spec, and now you have a full set of tank gear.
Right.
If you're a sorcerer, an operative, or a mercenary, same thing. You can grab gear that's statistically more oriented for the healer class, because you're not getting the accuracy on the enhancements. So it's all about your first tune. And then once you get that, if you play smart, I have max gear on 5 different tunes right now. And I haven't been trying. It's just with the crafting, it's like, oh, I guess I'm playing Assassin now. So, for this sorcerer, I'm going to get some DPS gear, send it to the Assassin. The Assassin has DPS gear, but I'm getting tank gear.
Right.
And then once I have the tank gear, I send that DPS gear over to the Juggernaut and get tank gear for the Juggernaut, send that over to my mercenary. Now the mercenary just needs to get blasters and really just barrels. So now I have 306 gear on my mercenary.
Yeah.
So send that. Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Nice.
So who won?
All right, yeah, because my tip, actually, we've already talked about. I just went into some detail about the Red Reaper runs, but we already talked about that during my week.
You can't win anyway, Chill.
Exactly. So the winner by random allotment was Quercus, who actually just joined the chat room. So hey, Quercus.
Congrats, Quercus.
You're the winner of a Fawn or MA3 or Droid pet code courtesy of BioWare and an OotiniCast provided Cartel Market pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. That will bring us to the Jedi Mind Trap, Doc.
All right, so we spent a lot of time in these mind traps talking about what we thought gear is going to be before the expansion happened. And now people have had some weeks to put under their belt, and I just shared how successful I've been with gearing so far. And I actually wanted to hear from some community members on how they're feeling. So in simple terms, how is gearing going? And really just focused on item rating, and item rating is not everything, but the options were multiple people at 306, which I just explained an easy way to do that, 298 plus, then down to 286, and then down to 268, because you do get 268 or 270 gear just for finishing the expansion, which probably takes, if you're watching the cutscenes, I would say it takes 3 or 4 hours, probably. Yeah. Depending on if you have already cleared Osis, then you're doing the 2 planets and the Flashpoint. If you have to add Osis in there and you want to watch those cutscenes too, it probably reaches maybe 5+ hours to finish. So finishing that will get you into the beginning of gearing, so 268, I believe. So Chill, when you voted, what did you tell us?
Yeah, well, basically that was from today, and I already do have now both of them just below the 306 level. They're at 304 and 302 gear. I just got my first couple pieces of 306, but I'm not at 306, so I'm at the second level, which is 298 plus, but not maxed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that what we're seeing from the community, we had a good number, considering I just put the question up this morning. 34% of our voters have multiples at 306, and 39% of our voters are in the 268 to 285 category. So for people who can see me on Twitch right now, the bell curve, my teacher self is always excited by this. We actually have the opposite. It's a reverse. It's a U. We don't have a lot of people in the middle compared to the end and the beginning.
That makes sense.
that tells me some interesting things about the process. Is they designed it so you don't get stuck in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, and it felt a little slow when I was trying like the daily areas and some of the other things that I was trying. But once I started the Red Reaper runs, it started to move really fast for me, and I'll be out of that and onto 306. I would say within a couple 3 days at most. So
Since you're doing that method, Chill, I just need to ask you: do you enjoy doing that?
I've been kind of enjoying it. Yeah, I mean it helps that I'm
Okay.
streaming and I can chat with people and stuff like that. What I've been doing is like I've been like, doing one on my main, then any gear that I think the mirror might want, I just put in storage, go over to her, do that one. Anything that the main wants, put it back in storage, go back over to
Yeah.
him, check it out, and often it is an upgrade. So that we're kind of maybe it would be slightly faster to do it on just one person, but it feels pretty good to like kind of work them up, one by one, and and send them over each time. And if they're not an upgrade, you just deconstruct them. It's all good. So
Okay. I just, I don't usually play as stealther. I've been on my
mm-hmm.
assassin a lot this week. So I have been stealthing things, and I definitely see the benefit. But
Mm-hmm.
if you asked me when I wake up any random morning, hey, Doc, do you want to do 50 Red Reapers on your stealth character? I would look at you and be like, let me check if I have papers to grade first. But I'd actually be hoping to grade the papers first.
Right.
Um, it's just I don't like doing I just don't play in that repetitive way. I
Yeah.
actually I enjoy when I do the Flashpoint group finder and it's boarding party or assault on Tython or Korriban incursion. Because I have all those memories of the different flashpoints. I really love them as a storytelling mechanism for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I like boss fights even if I know I'm going to win them. I think group finder is where you go for bosses you're going to win, and then uh my Thursday and Sunday group are where I go to make sure I remember how to lose. So um
Yeah. I
as far as oh, go ahead,
I
Jill.
was just gonna say is if it was only slightly better than like doing things that were less repetitive, then I would quickly tire of it. But the fact is, like, every time a boss drops, I'm getting, anywhere from 2 to maybe even 5 pieces of gear sometimes.
Yeah.
And, I don't know exactly how that works, and they're all for me because, I'm doing this solo, so I'm not splitting it with anyone. So that's a lot of bites at the apple. I'm getting a lot of gear. Also, the bosses drop. It's 30, then 60, then 90 tech points. You're getting 180 tech points as well for
Right.
one run. Plus, like I say, all the renown points at the end. Plus whatever you're getting during the middle. Yeah, it's just a lot of good. It's a lot of good stuff, and it's pretty quick. It's like I think my fastest run is probably around like 15 minutes. It's quick.
Okay.
It really is quick.
That's
So
good.
yeah.
So I guess there's not a lot of insights in this poll. It's just kind of data gathering and
Mm-hmm.
sharing with the developers where people are at just based on who watches our show. But it looks like a lot of people are in the, nearing the end stretch, even if they're not there already. So at least very close to 50% were either multiples at 306 or 298 plus.
Yes.
So it's a very quick system because, for example, if I asked a month into OSIS, multiple people at 258,
Oh yeah.
nobody in their,
I never
nobody in their
got.
right mind would
Yeah.
tune at 258.
My main wasn't at 258 at the end of at the beginning of Onslaught. I wasn't at 258. So
Yeah. Well, I made it there, but I didn't have my main hander because
yeah, that's one of the
so
nice
I
things,
still
about the change to it is I actually feel like just by playing whatever way I want to play, I will eventually get there. Now obviously changed my way of playing to get there faster, but I'll actually get there. With Osis, it really didn't feel like I was going to ever get there, honestly.
Yeah. But I will say this, when I jumped on my assassin, I did have to do Osis. And doing Osis and then Onderon and then Mechshaw and then doing the Corellia flashpoint was a really satisfying way to look at this expansion, even though Osis technically isn't part of Onslaught. It feels to me like it is. And because you get Malgus back, and that's supposed to be a surprise, which I guess a year ago it was a surprise. And then that really naturally leads into your Dark Council meeting on the fleet and then being sent off to Onderon. And it does feel like one story, which I thought was... I wasn't thinking about that when I logged into the tune. And once I got past I guess I have to do Osis, it became like, oh, okay, that was actually really nice. So I would just encourage people to... If you have a tune that hasn't done Osis, maybe do Onslaught with that tune. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. All right.
So let's move along, Chill.
That sounds good. We're on to the Holo feed. We've got a pretty good amount of news this time around. SWTOR, there is if you just log into the game, don't have to do anything special, you will get the RE1 mini pet. It's basically a little droid the little droid from Jedi Fallen Order. It's kind of similar to that one. It doesn't jump on your back like that one does in Jedi Fallen Order, but he does have a cute little running animation, and he makes about a dozen little cute little beeps and boops when you click on him. I happen to like him a lot, and I think I've heard a lot of good things about him. A lot of people seem to dig him. So if you log in before December 10th, you'll get the pet on all your characters. So there you go. Pretty simple. Reminder that the Pirate Incursion on Dantooine event, it started today, goes for a week until the 26th. And yeah, there's some new cartel market gear. I have a link to the article. Just in general, I'll just mention that I like the energy sword. There's an Onderon Guardian Cutlass and a sort of similar Tarnix's blade. It's kind of cool because it's clearly an energy weapon. It's very, so it's very lightsabery in terms of that, but it's very different in terms of how it looks, and it looks much more like a typical sword, but with energy sort of going between the sort of the tip and then the hilt. Yeah, it's really nice looking. I haven't heard how it sounds in game, but the look is very good. The Volptilla pet, which is the crystal foxes from Last Jedi, are cute. And then there's a fair number of decos. If you like the look of Mechshaw, there's some Mechshaw type decos as well. And I happen to like Mechshaw, but yeah, we'll see if I get any of those. But they do look nice. There was we talked about it last episode because they were having issues with disconnects, especially on Tulak Horde, but some of the other, especially the European servers. They were having it for a few days. And then it turns out after like a bunch of attempts to figure out the problem, there was some crucial hardware on the server that was bad, required them to replace it. It seemed to be fixed, but then after the 9.0.1 patch that we talked about last episode, Tulak Horde had more troubles around the 17th, so just a couple of days ago. So ongoing unfortunate issues. The times that they've talked about what seems to be going on, the devs have talked about what's going on, seems to be hardware related, so very hard to pin it all down, and unfortunately it does seem to be still causing troubles, at least as of a couple of days ago. I haven't seen anything since then. Maybe they finally have that nailed down. There was also a recipe a few days ago on Kai Zyken that was not supposed to be there, and it was bugged. And it apparently was some sort of recipe that let you make solid resource matrices at the cost of more solid resource matrices than you got back from the recipe. It was very weird and very buggy. So if you bought it before it was removed on November 8th, you should contact customer support because, yeah.
I will give you $8. It costs $10.
Yeah, exactly. It was even worse than that. Yeah, but it's a little nutty. So if you had a trouble with that, if you bought that and then wondered what it was, apparently you can get, your credits back or whatever, but yeah, you have to contact customer support for that. Keith gave a nice little post on November 8th. Patch 6.0.2 will be our last update of 2019, and we're going to target its availability mid-December. And it'll have additional bug fixes along with the following. Life Day will return, has new items for you to enjoy. It's the 8th year anniversary, so the vendor will have some new items. They'll be adding new missions on Mechshaw, including new heroics, which is cool, because right now I just go to Mechshaw just to do that one heroic on each side, and then I'm kind of done with it. I don't bother with like the regular dailies, because there's no like daily mission that you can just get an extra reward for. So I don't see the point of doing a regular mission there.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get a Theron for your consular, and as he says, it's Theron, not spelled the dumb way, which I laughed so hard when I saw that during the Onslaught storyline.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, that was good. Rank Season 12 for PvP players begins, and winners from last seasons will get their well-deserved rewards. And finally, crafting changes. They're taking a hard look at crafting, and they're going to make some adjustments starting with this patch. And then we'll go into a little bit more detail because Eric did a post later on that sort of detailed some of the crafting adjustments. And then a few days after that, after Keith's post, on November 12th, there was an accident. Something got turned on for the new ranked season. It wasn't supposed to start that day. It accidentally did get started that day, so they had to shut it off. So ranked season was not supposed to start then. Like Keith said, it's supposed to start when 9.0 or 6.0.2 drops in December. So they did have to, they wanted to make sure that, all the rewards from the current season were going to still be given out properly and that didn't mess anything else up. But yes, for some reason, ranked was on for a very short period of time by accident, and they had to shut that sucker off. Yeah, so more recently then, Eric did give some details on the crafting changes, and this is, really when the GTN sort of prices started to shift, because people were starting to realize, okay, this is going to really affect how expensive it is to make some of these things. And Eric said, we've been reading your feedback since Onslaught launch, and of course from the PTS beforehand, on your feelings on the current state of crafting. We agree with your feedback that it isn't where we want it to be either. There are quite a few changes planned for 6.0.2 in December, and we want to give you a preview of those changes today. 6.0.2 will not have its own PTS, so please use this thread to share your feedback on the changes. The materials required for material combination schematics was too high. We are making the following changes. Premium and prototype material requirements were reduced to 6 from 10. Artifact have been down to 12 from 15. And the requirements to convert premium combination materials to prototype is reduced down to 2 from 3. Like right now, if I want to make the purple cell graphs for biochem, I need 3 of the blues, and they're going to change that back down to 2 of the blues.
Yeah.
That's going to, that alone is like massively going to, decrease the cost, let alone all the, the fact that all the greens to get to the blues are going to be cheaper as well.
Right.
Although we want to incentivize harvesting over missions for gathering skills, mission inflow was a little too low. Yes, indeed it was. Thank you, Eric, for noticing that. In fact, another tip of the week for right now is like, if you're really wanting to do crafting, you have to go out in the field and gather, because you're going to get a lot more of the green stuff especially, but you just in general, you're going to get a lot more stuff. Like when I skin like an animal that's silver or above, I'm getting like 2 or 3 pieces. They're often blue. Sometimes they're green or whatever, but they're usually like blue. Meanwhile, I do one harvesting node for bioanalysis, and it's usually something like 18 pieces of the 2 different greens and like 12 or so of the 2 different blues and some of the purples as well. It's like crazy how much stuff you get compared to like skinning the animals. And then when you're going out on a mission, it's coming back and it's a few pieces, but it's a lot less than one crafting node, and you can just go out there and just get as much as you can. So anyway,
I want to share something here because it's kind of a bug report. But I had one of my 3 crafting things was wrong on one of my tunes. I picked up diplomacy instead of underworld trading or something. So I tried to cancel
Oh.
diplomacy
Mm-hmm.
and pick up underworld trading.
Yeah, and that used to be very easy.
Yeah, well, it is easy, except diplomacy did not disappear from my crafting window.
Oh, weird.
Even though it says my skill is 0 and it was a 600. And also now there's 4 buttons that I can click. So there's the
Wow.
synth weaving and archaeology, and then diplomacy, and then underworld trading. Except you can't click diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
You can click the one that I did pick up.
Well, that's good.
But now there's no archaeology nodes. I cannot click archaeology nodes
out in the field. Oh, that's
Right.
awful. Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, because it doesn't because there's an extra skill
It doesn't
in
like-
my bar.
Right, and
It doesn't understand which nodes I'm allowed to click and which ones I'm
it's
not.
messed it up. Ooh, that's awful.
Yeah. So I would recommend, do not cancel crafting things. Just stick with what you have and create a new tune and have that tune pick up the thing.
Yeah.
Because if you try to delete your gathering skill, I guess there's a small chance that because of how the expansion works, or
Yeah.
this has never happened to me before.
No, I've done it before, and it's never given me an issue either. Wow.
Yeah, so it might just be a Dr. SWTOR thing, but consider this my public bug report.
All right. Wow. Okay. Whew. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, yeah, until 9.0.2 drops, definitely get out in the field. Eric does say, as far as missions, the inflow is too low. They're going to increase the overall inflow of premium quality materials, so that's like green, from missions. They're going to increase the material rewards from wealthy yield missions, which is nice because I've been doing the wealthy yield missions, and they are nice, but they're not spectacular. And reduce the overall failure rate of gray quality missions, which is interesting because, yeah, I still get a fair number of failures now, even though I've got a lot of companions, who are in the 30s, 40s. I have like 350s on one, 250s on the other, and I'm still seeing a fair number of failures. So, yeah. Getting crafting schematics when deconstructing gear was too hard with too low of a chance. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm really scared to even try to get from purple to gold, because even though the gold stuff is selling for millions on the GTN, and it would be wonderful to have that recipe and be able to make those, boy oh boy, 5% chance from the purples means even if you get the average amount, it means you're going to be deconstructing 60 batches of the purples to get that recipe on average, and if you get unlucky, it's going to take a long damn time. So I'm
very unlucky, Chill.
Exactly.
So.
I haven't even tried to go for any of the golds because of that. I have been selling some of the purples on the GTN and making some credits that way, and been pretty happy with that. Now that I'm over 300 on my gear, and it's like all 100,000 to pull out something, boy, it's hard to stay ahead on that at that point. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're broadly going to increase the chance to earn crafting schematics from deconstructing, and sort of related, we're making a pass to ensure that deconstruction is giving the correct profession materials. Raise any specifics you have where this isn't the case. And on a personal note, I did see this a bunch of times when I'm deconstructing. I'm getting I'm only doing biochem, like I said, and I'm deconstructing and I'm getting fabrics and random other kind of stuff. I've seen slicing stuff, I've seen fabrics, I've seen all kinds of other stuff. I was wondering what was up with that. It was like a new thing for the new expansion. I didn't necessarily think it was a bug, although it was weird. Apparently it is a bug.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a bug. Whatever. Okay, I'm not really mad about it because it was kind of interesting, and it certainly seemed like I was getting a reasonable amount of things, but I wasn't getting stuff that was biochem related, for sure. And then finally, too high of a requirement for matrices when crafting. The matrix material requirement has been removed from schematics below artifact, which is purple quality.
Right.
Which is good. And we're looking closely at data around inflow of legendary ember requirements. We may increase requirements here, but this is still being investigated. So yeah, I've gotten a fair number of legendary embers. Sometimes I've been getting them from... I've rarely gotten them from deconstructing actual just items, like deconstructing like boots and stuff. That's really, really rare though. More often, I've gotten them from getting a wealthy diplomacy mission and then sending it out and getting it back that way, stuff like that. So yeah,
I've gotten probably a few, but I don't know how.
Okay,
so it just kind of happens by playing.
Yeah, so it's interesting that might be the one thing that actually goes up, but it may not. We'll see. That he hasn't said, but apparently they're feeling that it's like a little too lenient, and actually they might want to make legendary embers a little bit more valuable, which is kind of cool because even right now, I think I did sell a couple the other day on the GTN because I really wanted some credits, and they were like over 600,000 a piece. So they're valuable. They're quite valuable. When you get one, you should be happy.
Well, I have not crafted anything yet that needs them either,
right.
So that's why I am a little bit more blasé about them.
Yeah, I'm assuming once I get the recipe for like, the reusable stim, the reusable med pack, and all reusable adrenals and all that, I'm assuming that's when the embers are going to start coming in. So yeah, I haven't seen them either at the purple level. And finally, the materials that you're earning are not coming in the correct ratio of premium to prototype to artifact to correlate with the expenditure, and rebalancing the material inflow to match a 7 to 2 to 1 ratio that many of you have raised. So excellent. Those are all that basically, I mean, it sounds like they're on the right track to get crafting, maybe a little harder than it was in previous expansions, but at least not an order of magnitude harder like it is now. I mean, it is a lot harder to craft right now. You are really, really, I'm really, really struggling with crafting, even though I need to do it. And even though I see like how valuable it is on the GTN and stuff like that, it's not easy to do. And I'm looking forward to these changes, even though, obviously everything in my inventory is going to decrease in price, but that's okay because it'll also be easier to make it. So yeah, so that's all planned for 6.0.2, and Eric is asking for feedback on the forums. So there you go. He also did a post that I thought was interesting about loot toggle and gear drops. There's the loot toggle is like you can tell, hey, I'm like in my case, if I'm on my assassin, hey, I want to, get, tank drops, or I want to get like DPS drops, stuff like that. Same with my shadow. So you can toggle that. So, and I've never toggled it because I'm not at 306 yet. I want to get I want to get gear for this character before I start worrying about like, oh, what if someone wants me to tank or whatever. I'm not doing that for a while, but it's cool that it's there.
Yeah.
So he did a little recap on what sort of loot is determined for your character or the toggle, and details that he'll need for anyone experienced potentially bugged loot drops. Because some people, clearly like there probably are bugs in the game, but also like people feel like there are bugs in the game based on the loot drops, but they may not be.
Wait, Jill, did you just say there probably are bugs?
I mean, related to like what kind of drops you're getting. I don't know if there are, but it could happen. But
just trying to have fun.
It sounds like what's happening is like a lot of people are like reporting bugged drops that may not be bugged at all. Like they may be working as intended, but it's a little obscure. So he's doing this to help let the whole community know, hey, this is how it's supposed to work. Stats.
Yeah.
Stats. One thing that may not be clear about stats is that they effectively fall into two buckets: tank and non-tank. Tanks will receive their respective stats, defense, absorb, etc. Healers and DPS stats are mostly similar, so they are in the same bucket currently. And then set bonuses and tacticals. These are quite a bit more simple than stats, as they should always drop for your current character and should always drop items usable in that spec. Keep in mind that usable by your spec means base class and general sets also. So if you're a Madness Sork, it is intended that the system could also drop an Inquisitor set for you, even if that specific set may seem more useful for a healer It is a base class set usable by all Inquisitors. The place where things get complicated is although the game targets drops specifically for your characters, there is a situation where it does not drop specifically for your character, and that's anything that counts as a world drop. This most likely places this happen is on a non-boss NPC kill. There's a very small chance that bosses can drop a world drop as an extra drop, though, as well. Every other place you get loot, such as boss kills, renown crates, conquest crates, mission reward crates, such as from PvP and heroics, they will all always drop loot specifically for you. This means it is possible to get items not for your spec, but that only happens from the rarest place that those items drop, like standard world drops. So if you're receiving an off-spec item based on the information above, it's likely a bug. With that in mind, here's the information that you need to give Eric to help the team investigate the issue. Your class role and spec, your toggled role if it was different, the current item rating, where did you get the item, and exactly what item did you receive. So
this is a complex issue. It seems like a lot of people are not realizing how specific they need to be when they say they're getting bug drops.
Right, exactly. And so whenever you're getting, like, you're opening a conquest box or any sort of one of those crates, that should always be pretty much toggled to you, depending on which toggle you're using, but it should basically be for your character. However, like they said, sometimes that means general set drops, and I've certainly gotten a lot of those that are just general. It's like, if you drop below, half health, you get an alacrity boost, whatever that set is called. I've gotten a bunch of those, and I'm probably never going to use them, but they technically are, general ones that would work for that character. So that's not, that is technically one that could drop for you, and it's not considered a bug when it does. So yeah, I have, like, when I've been doing the Red Reaper, pretty much everything that drops from a boss, it is something that's, for my class and spec. Like, it's not dropping weird, it's not dropping a bunch of weird, shotguns and blasters, or anything like that. It's tailored to my character. So, that's basically how it's going to work. It is interesting that the set bonuses and tacticals are they consider so much simpler, though, just because, like, and I don't know. The only thing I would say about that is I wish set bonuses and tacticals were a little more common, because it feels like they're pretty goddamn rare to get, as even from boxes, but they're almost unheard of as just a general world drop. Like, I may have gotten one tactical just as a drop, and I've only gotten a few tacticals, period. But anyway, yeah. So that is how it's roughly supposed to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see where, like, the dev team is struggling to try to make sure that it's communicated well. So, and The Mandalorian is out. Disney Plus is active. It's going. We've gotten 2 episodes of Mandalorian. I've watched them both and really enjoyed them. I thought especially the first one was, like, really, really good. Second one was fun. It was shorter, so they're going to vary in length, apparently. Or I don't know if the first one was supposed to be more like like an hour special sort of deal, where the other one's supposed to feel like a half-hour episode, or if maybe they're just going to make the episodes based on, however long the script demands. I don't know, but they were both enjoyable. Have you gotten Disney Plus, or have you been able to watch it somehow, Doc?
Absolutely. I got it on the first day, and I had really no technical issues with running it. I've seen a lot of people mentioning the Wreck-It Ralph image pops up a lot, which is basically, we're sorry, the app isn't working. Outside of midnight the first day, I haven't had any issues with the app. It's been a lot of fun to watch the episodes too. There was a Utini moment in the second episode.
I was listening. I was like, "Ooh, Jawas! When are they going to say Utini?" Because they almost always say Utini at some point.
Yeah, you definitely hear it.
Yeah, it's always been a little vague as to exactly what it means, but it usually it's in the context of, "Hey, look at this," or "Check that out over there," or it's something along those lines. So it's very, very common for you to hear it. Like, basically, like every time you see the Jawas, pretty much in the movies, it gets said. So yeah, it's definitely the most popular Jawa word for sure. And of course, the character being named Baby Yoda is sort of breaking the internet, like tons of memes, tons of like,
oh, we didn't put
OMG, how
warning,
cute. Well, he's everywhere. I Baby Yoda at this point is like, more famous than like many other like characters in Star Wars who should be more famous, and we don't even have a name for the little guy yet.
Have you seen the meme where
cute.
it's Yoda and the baby? One of those OK Boomer.
Yes,
memes.
I've seen the OK Boomer one. I've also seen gosh, what's it called? I can't remember the term for it, but it's when you have to pay money because of the child that that's birth, and you need to help pay the upkeep for the baby. Anyway, I can't remember. There's a
child support.
Child support. Thank you. There's a good phrase that completely slipped my mind. Thank goodness I've never had to deal with that in my own life.
Well, right. That's a good thing, Chill.
I probably wouldn't know it.
If you're able to forget what child support is, then you've made some good decisions.
Exactly. Anyway, he's a cute little spud. Yeah, and it's kind of been an interesting twist on the story, because one of the things I said about the first episode is how cool it was to have like this, like very Western style feeling show. It has that sort of it has a very Old West feel, especially that first episode did. The second one really did too. But it was also interesting because like there's no Force users. So there you go. You know what I mean? It was like interesting to have something set in the Star Wars universe that wasn't about the Force, that didn't have Force users as sort of like at the center. And then of course episode 2 happens and you get a little baby Yoda.
Well, one thing I've been talking with a lot of people about is especially at the university, a lot of people will randomly walk up to me and talk to me about Star Wars because of my dissertation, and I'm like the Star Wars guy.
Right, of course.
Yeah, and so there have been a lot of people who actually play our game too, and I just told them from a SWTOR perspective, Star Wars has been the Jedi Knight class story for 40 years. As far as movies and things that are disseminated in an audiovisual form, cinematically speaking. And so The Mandalorian is the first moment where we're maining a different class.
Yeah, it's kind of true, isn't it?
It's the bounty hunter story. And there are artifacts of the Force that are creeping into the story, which, it binds the galaxy together, right? So you would expect that it's still there even if no one's using it. But the orchestration of the show, it sets you up to get that Clint Eastwood kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And a lot of the camera angles.
Yeah. Right. I agree with that. It definitely feels more spaghetti Western than, like John Ford, John Wayne, early Westerns. It does feel more like that spaghetti Western feel.
Right. And the main character, he's really serious, but it seems like the episodes are fun. And, I think when Star Wars makes people get the most uppity is when it tries to be really fun and it feels like unearned fun, or really serious and it's like Star Wars is supposed to have jokes. So I feel like The Mandalorian somehow is hitting a really nice sweet spot.
Yeah.
At least for me it is.
I would agree. I'm having a lot of fun with it too.
Friday.
Yeah, more coming for quite a while. Let's see. And other sort of Disney Plus related news, we'll go to the Force feedback. I grabbed a tweet from Charles Boyd, and Charles was checking in on and wrote, "We checked on a whim, and Maclunkey is included in 3 different Rhodian alien VO lines in SWTOR, and it's been in since launch. Crazy." And the reason that he's talking about this is because the Disney Plus version of A New Hope, which has been slightly altered yet again. Apparently, this is like an edit that they were going to put out, but then didn't. But now it's out on Disney Plus. Basically, it seems to be a near simultaneous shot between Han and Greedo. I haven't actually checked it out myself, but that's what I've heard.
Oh, I definitely did chill. First day.
And is it?
I was like, no way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
And apparently, right before that happens, he yells out "McClunky," but that wasn't in before. At least not in A New Hope. And then a lot of people online are calling it McClunky, and other things like hashtag McClunky with like an MAC at the front, like it's like he's yelling out some sort of Scottish surname. But apparently this is like a thing that people like are noticing, like that really changed in that scene. So, but yeah, it's already in SWTOR, so there you go.
The way they did it, though, Chill, is it does change what you see as the viewer, because Han says, "Yes, I bet you have." And the camera's just on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're used to the next cut being the side of the table, right, the laser bolt glancing past Han's head, and then the smoke coming out of Greedo's side of the table.
Right.
But now, instead, the cut goes back to just Greedo's face. And he says without a subtitle, "Makunki." I think it means your mom. And then they do shoot at the same time, and Greedo does still die. I think it's really awesome that we have voiceover lines in our game that shows that there is an actual Rhodian language of some kind.
Yeah, and then they were actually kind of careful to use some of the actual words that were kind of out there in the SWTOR zeitgeist. All right. And also another tweet, thanks to Caber87 for the shout out. He said, "Just wanted to say I enjoy your podcast. I have for a while. Great stuff, helps me through work." And then when you responded, "Hey, thanks. If you have anything you want to discuss, we're open to ideas." And he wrote back, "Do you guys think there will be character model redesigns somewhere or sometime with all the new story? NPCs like Arn and his cybernetics, our player cyborgs look nothing like that." And yeah, apparently, Doc, you would like a cyborg that's more robust than just like the head stuff.
Well, I love RoboCop, Chill.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Arn character, when I look at how they have assembled him, and you see a lot of really neat things in the neck right under his actual head.
Yeah.
And, playing my assassin, she's a cyborg, I guess, because she has like an extra thing on her jawbone. And like the rest of her is the same female character model as all the other female characters.
I mean, unless you buy the armor just for the look, the cyborg armor.
Right. But I don't, because I like the costumes.
Right, because it kind of it does limit the look,
Right, because you're basically choosing that you want the character to look like a robot, whereas Arn is a robot in Jedi robes.
Yes.
So he remains a cool-looking character, even though he has all these cybernetics. And, down the line, wouldn't it be so cool if there were hands that you selected in character creation where, like, even if there's only 3, like, one could be like a aggressive-looking, evil-looking robot arm, and then another would be like a nice-looking, I'm still going to cut you with a lightsaber, but I'm a nice droid arm. And then, of course, the regular arm that's default. Like, Star Wars is all about losing
limbs, yes.
huge percentages of your body, but continuing to live.
That's right.
So I just feel like that would be a really neat 10-year anniversary thing, for the game. We're 2 years away from that moment, and it would be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So that one set of tweets from Gary C, like it just, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about that. It instantly popped, because we have Arn is a new character, and he's really neat to look at. Yeah,
and it's true that, like, especially the ones that have been sort of designed for cutscenes, like, they had Lana, but then they massively updated Lana, and all the newer characters since then, they're clearly, like, trying to make sure that they look really good on screen, and especially in those cutscenes. So yeah, so I mean, you know, like the new Malgus looks like way more, you know, like there's a lot more detail in him than there was in the old Malgus, stuff like that.
Well, they had to work on Lana. You can't have the Force flu for 3 years straight.
That's right.
They have doctors in the galaxy far, far away. At least one. He throws lightning.
All right. Is there anything else, Doc?
No, that's it for me, Chill. Let's wrap it up.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. This is how you know I do this every show, because I sometimes make mistakes. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @utinicast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, utinicast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays at noon Pacific. Go to utinicast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby, and thank you to the chat room.
Maclunky!
Perfect. We'll see you next show. All right, folks. Thank you for coming, and yeah, I'll be editing this afternoon, and then the YouTube version will go out. This raw version, the YouTube version, will go out as well pretty soon, and then I'll edit and clean up the audio version, and that will go out tomorrow as usual. Have a good one, and thanks for coming.